given authority, take a legal action towards them, to move the process along. And so at this point, we don't get into details because it's an ongoing legal proceeding. We want to be respectful of all parties involved. But due to two recorded violations and a stop work order, we're now at a point where legal action needs to be taken. Okay, we are back. Perfect. Any other questions on the motion? Discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. So now let's discuss, the request would be this is new information as of 5:45 today and as of this meeting, but the town attorney has met with, Emma.
Yes.
And they are starting to work on some sort of consent agreement by the sounds of it. The question would be, do we want to delegate that authority to the town manager to approve that should a consent agreement be met between the two attorneys? Generally speaking, that is something our board has done in the past. And so that would be essentially saying, we're fine with the town manager working through that with the lawyer without us needing to get involved in another meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 26th. Two of us will be absent from that. And so that would be a 3-person meeting. And so we need to decide. I mean, I'd like to, Jared, do you have a comfort level that you sit with this?
I'll work with it, Terry.
Yeah. And so, the pit was permitted for 5 acres. It's beyond that. Questions coming into where they can work or where they can't work. I'm comfortable with delegating that authority to Jerry, the town manager, because it will be done in conjunction with the attorney, but also we will be kept up to date. And so this would just be that if an agreement is how to move forward in terms of operations related to the stop work authority, that doesn't give him, that's not an agreement for fines or fees or anything like that in terms of the violation itself. Right now, the operation is at a standstill. And we have issued a stop work authority because they have failed to meet, they have broken the constraints of their permit. Giving Jerry the authority to work with the attorney to come up with a consent agreement for opening the pit for operations does not change the fact that there's been a violation and that's going to be pursued separately. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be still pursued. It would just be, can they come to an agreement for what opening the pit looks like in the interim? So before we have any sort of motion, do people have any questions or discussion on that they'd like to either ask myself or Jerry?
Have you received any emails from constituents, from people in Durham nearby, the neighbors?
I received complaints about continued operation that happened earlier this week after the stop work authority, but I haven't received any other.
So to confirm, they're still working even after they received a stop order?
Not as of today. Yesterday is what I received. That's the email that I received. Other than that, have not received any sort of other communication. So, Emma, did you have something you wanted to say?
If it's helpful, my client has followed the stop work order today and intends to continue to do so until this is resolved with the
When
town.
did they receive the stop work order?
Thursday.
And the last
Yes.
Thursday, and they continue to work even after.
Yes, they've
receiving
stopped
it.
this morning.
Yeah, this one.
That's not-
So that's the only email that I've received.
So you're just basically authorizing the attorney to work with this,
Yeah.
with Emma, is really all you're doing.
Yeah, and that's separate from the violation. That would still be moved forward. So we give legal authority to move forward on that. But saying, working with Emma to find something that allows them to open the pit and move forward while all the other legal ramifications are being determined.
The attorney's not gonna work on it unless you authorize it. She
Right.
just can't go on her own and say, okay, I'll.
Or maybe we hold the ground and say we issued a stop work and work will stop until it's resolved and don't have a consent agreement. That they can do partial work on 2 acres or something like that.
That might be part of the consent agreement.
Mm-hmm. So,
I think to add to Jerry's, the 2 lawyers would work something out, and are we saying that in
And
the
then-
front of the jury is he would bless that?
right, and so the 2 lawyers would work something out obviously our lawyer acting on behalf of the town's interest. And then rather than us having to come back and have a meeting to approve the consent agreement, we could preemptively issue Jerry that authority to sign off on the
Yeah.
consent agreement. Where I'm comfortable with that is, we hired the lawyer, we know the lawyer we have, and we know the way she operates and works in our best interest. And so if she feels like this is fair, she brings it to Jerry, Jerry feels like it's fair, then he can sign off on it. If either one of them say, this isn't a fair, that we don't think the select board would approve of this, Jerry could say, I'm not comfortable signing off on this. And we would say to send it to us at that point at our next meeting. But I have enough trust in, and I'm not saying no one else here doesn't. I place enough trust in Jerry and our lawyer to get us to that point and try to, move forward on this personally, so. We can't have public comment right now, unfortunately, but, I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it. I mean, if at any point in time we come to an agreement and they violate it, then we stop all over again.
Which I would think would be part of, we would, so, I mean, we can say yes to Jerry, we can say yes to this now and direct Jerry to
Yeah.
that authority, but we can vocalize to you things that are important to us, that being one of them.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine with the plan.
okay, so do we have a motion?
Oh, I thought we had.
No, we just a pre-motion discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will move that we authorize, our attorney to work with Jaden Pitt folks, to come up with a, plan and that, Jerry be authorized to approve it on our behalf. Does that sound right?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Deb. So, discussion, question. So what I would say is, we're making a motion to authorize Jerry to sign and approve a consent agreement, as long as it's agreed upon by the two parties. Jerry, we would ask that you, obviously, if you don't agree with it, reach out to us and we can make sure we meet pronto to review it. Things that are important to me, though, is that we don't have any additional violations and we work to make sure that this consent agreement gets us into operations within the scope of the original permit, and not absolving the party from any sort of, recognition of violation prior to that. Is what's important to me in that, so. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Emma, thank you for your time.
Thank you all
today.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
The
folks.
second part we have to do tonight.
No, that was, so we made the motion to pursue legal action and we've now made the motion to give Jerry, the town attorney, authority to enter into a consent agreement. As long as they feel like it's fair to the town, so. And that covers the legal action with the pit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, next on our top, we are working now, okay. For those of you just tuning in, sorry for the technical difficulties, but I hope you enjoyed the live stream of the bird feeder that apparently popped up. An owl, okay, that's still a bird. Alrighty, our next topic is to review and discuss land use ordinance proposed changes. And we have George, Thabarge here and Brian from the, planning board. Though I will have you both introduce yourself, on camera, that our microphone's working, so.
Great. Good evening, Select Board. My name is Brian Lonwa. I'm the chairman of the planning board here in town. I'm with Mr. Thabarge. What's in front of you tonight is the action of the planning board has taken in the past year, maybe even more than a year, for enhancements to the land use ordinance. I know you have a very busy agenda tonight, and I feel like we've been transparent throughout the process. So I'm going to just quickly go into a summary. There are 3 parts to this, and feel free to chime in if there's any questions that you have. George will probably elaborate on some of the questions you might have, but there are minor policy changes, administrative changes, and changes due to the codification process.
Brian, can I interject just briefly for the folks at home? This is a process that was identified when we began the codification process of our land use ordinance. And this has been a lot of hard work from staff and the planning board, identifying those characteristics. So we talked about changes, the minor, and the administrative, and then, both land use codes. So this is finishing off a task that we've been going on for about 18 months at this point. So just to give everyone a reminder of where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first part, proposed minor policy changes. We have back lots and private ways to streamline the review process. We have code officer approval for single back lots, planning board approval for private ways serving multiple lots, and to reduce single back lot driveway width from 20 feet to 16 feet. Expansion, number two, expansion of non-conforming structures, which is to simplify the standards for residential expansions and eliminate confusing language. Remove planning board reviews of issues typically reviewed for the Board of Appeals. The third is subdivision road buffers, which grants the planning board discretion to require vegetative buffers where new subdivision roads abut existing homes. The fourth is fire protection water supply, which would eliminate water storage cisterns as an option and allows for fire ponds, existing water sources, or residential sprinklers in subdivisions. 5, cannabis cultivation facilities, which establishes clear definitions and prohibits aggregated growing operations that are exempt from state permitting requirements. The 6th, manufactured housing and accessory apartments, which brings local standards into compliance with state law on tiny homes and standalone accessory apartments, placement of mobile homes on individual lots, and mobile home parks. The 7th, road frontage determination. This was added a little bit late, but again, I think you all have heard most of this before, which clarifies how road frontage is measured on lots with curved frontage, corner lots, and on the turnaround. Part 2, administrative changes. Oh,
Can we give folks here
Sure.
opportunity to ask questions on
Yes.
part 1? Does anyone have any questions on part 1?
The only question I had, you talked to the fire chief about making the width of the back lot, the driveway to the back lot's 4 feet smaller. Cause I remember that was an issue. He's
Yeah.
shaking his head behind you, so.
and he's shaking it this
Yeah,
way.
he should be.
Well, I know that you, George, and Chief all shook your head in the same direction, so that seems like 3 votes in the affirmative.
Yes, we have, Josh.
Yeah, I figured you did, but I thought I should ask.
We'll tell you if Chief starts doing this behind you. So.
Okay, any other questions on part 1, the minor policy changes? Okay. Part 2, administrative changes. Subdivision road standards, updating the design standards to reflect current engineering practices. Number 2, driveway standards, which clarifies the applicability of standards to various roads in town, update for safety, and adopt MDOT site distance standards. Number 3, zoning boundary interpretation, which assigns interpretation authority to the planning board, which previously was on the Board of Appeals. Right. Solid waste management, number 4, which requires a readiness to serve letter from internal solid waste management collections and subdivisions. Number 5, campground reviews. This is a state requirement. Not much we could do here, but we're going to comply with state requirements and reduce the scope of our reviews to avoid duplication of state permitting. Number 6, general planning board subdivision submission requirements. Sorry, this adjusts deadlines and reduce printed copies. Right now, the deadline is pretty short in terms of turnaround. This gives us another week for review. Number 7, ordinance correction provisions, which delegates the authority to the select board for non-substantive text corrections. It kind of falls in line with codification, but yeah. Number 8, proof of payment of taxes. This is a new requirement which would require proof of tax payment with the planning board applications. We just want to make sure that everybody's paying their fair share before they move forward with any development. Number 9, conditional use submissions. Added detailed submission requirements to the ordinance text. Number 10, this was also a late addition, tree clearing in subdivisions. This clarifies that clearing trees for development purposes prior to final approval is a violation.
I have two questions. Well, first, one thing to note, because I always like to note this when something says delegate authority to the select board. Non-substantive text corrections really are like not changing the intent of the rule, but it's like, I think of things like we've changed in the past or wanted to change in the past where it sometimes says selectmen, select board, board of selectmen. So it's three different ways to say the same thing. We said, let's just consolidate it. Or when, there's Scrivener's errors or stuff like that. So that does, I just want to make sure folks know that this doesn't give the select board any authority to make like a policy change. It's more like a grammatical change. Question on number 8, proof of taxes. When you have people or entities that, how are we tracking that? So like if we have entities that, have a separate LLC for different subdivisions, is that being looked into? Or is it just if this applicant has a current set of lots that they haven't paid their taxes on, we don't even consider their application? Like, do you have any?
I jump in on, because I had a similar question. Well, but is that more work for the town staff? Like what you're asking? That's, I think jumps on that. That's my,
Well-
is it something that George does or?
Yeah, my question is more because this is a complaint for at least 2 or 3 years we've heard when people get their annual town annual report and you see, that there's someone who's doing the subdivision that isn't paying their property taxes, and essentially we're managing as a town their cash flow for them. And that's a problem, in my opinion, and we've heard a lot of feedback on that. So I'm happy to see that here. But I know there's also instances of, a developer through 2 different entities potentially applying for 2 different projects. One might not be paid. So are we going that deep when we're looking into it?
If I can just get back to your first comment.
Sorry.
Yes, the delegated authority of the select board, I just want to elaborate a little bit on that.
Mhm.
That there will be some planning board review of what you're are hoping to change as well. So there's going to be some duplicate coordination going forward there with that.
Mhm.
On the second part, tax payment, it's kind of tricky. We did talk about this in our discussions where if I'm a developer, I'm buying your property, but it's contingent on planning board approval. We want to make sure that those taxes have been paid by somebody in some way or form.
Mhm. Okay.
I hope that answers you.
Who does that? I mean,
Yeah.
I picture this as being more work for Justin.
I think we put it on the
The
applicant to
applicant.
prove to us that they've paid their taxes.
Right.
Whether it's a receipt,
I still
not
feel
too
like
bad.
you're gonna be, at
They-
least having to go into the computer and print stuff out. That's my biggest concern. But
So like it's the daily
worth it.
request. Like I get those calls like from, title companies. So it would just be like a normal request. I would just print off the account detail, give it to them, they could submit it with the application.
okay, it's not a lot of
Yeah,
work.
no.
But even if the application is signed by an engineer or an LLC or something, and there's a person behind it that's name is not on the application, I mean.
It's really the property that's being put before
The
the board.
property.
Mhm.
So even if they haven't paid taxes.
Yeah, it
on
doesn't matter who
previous-
pays it, as long as it's paid.
No, but if the developer has not paid taxes on a different subdivision or a different property, you are still granting them the right, even if they are paying taxes on a different one.
It
Like
just
to
applies to the
Joe's-
property at
right.
issue. It
But
doesn't
to
apply.
Joe's-
So to my question was
Joe's
like when we have a situation where someone has a subdivision,
Well,
they haven't sold all the
Yeah,
lots, they're
Yeah,
not
let
paying
me-
the lot
let me
tax,
clarify.
and now they're putting in a second.
yeah, let me clarify how we looked at that. Okay, so one of the criteria for approval is that the applicant has to demonstrate financial capacity to carry forward the project. And so prima facie evidence of inability is non-payment of taxes.
On,
So-
could be on other
Could be on
property.
other properties,
That's
that's
right.
correct.
Okay.
So if they're not current on taxes, they clearly don't have the money
Yeah.
to proceed with further development.
And I just wanted.
Or they have
my-
it and they should be paying their.
My concern is if the name is something
Yeah,
over
but
here
again,
on this property,
Yeah.
and the application, even though this guy is behind it, has an engineer's name or an LLC.
and again, this won't be perfect, but
Right,
it will
but you'll-
certainly help
Mhm.
established
spirit
where
of
it's
the-
clearly a problem.
Yeah.
We
Which
will have some
yeah.
way to deal with it. Right now, the town has no authority to say.
Yeah, which
so
is a
deal
big
with it.
complaint we've received a lot, which
Yeah.
So if I buy Joe's house and I plan to put a subdivision, you're gonna check and make sure my own property taxes are paid? No.
Well,
So-
unless it's a clear indication that you don't have financial capacity to do the subdivision.
But who's gonna do that? When is that decided? To me, the way it was presented, makes it sound like you're only gonna check the property at issue, make sure those property taxes.
Initially,
Mhm.
that would be the first check. The second check is if you can see there's 5 other subdivisions they haven't paid taxes on.
Mhm.
They haven't got approval of this subdivision, so that's not an issue. But that would be an indication that they don't have the financial capacity to do the project.
And so in those oh, sorry, Josh, did you have a follow up? In that instance, it would be, thank you for your application. We won't even consider it for completeness until you're squared away elsewhere, or we'll.
The burden is on the applicant to prove that.
I guess
they
my
have-
question is, does that happen at the completeness review, or does it say, all right, this is a complete application, but we need you, we'll move forward. You go pay your bill, and then we'll come back and we'll do a substantive review.
Or it would come in during the substantive review.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, where does this clarify where that would come in?
Yeah.
Because in my viewpoint, the earlier in the process, the better.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you all to
Yeah.
spend a month or two working, and then they're
No.
like, oh yeah, we're gonna pay that tax bill. Oh, never mind, we can't do it. And now we've tied town resources up.
It will be added to the preliminary plan.
Preliminary.
checklist.
Okay, perfect. That's good for me. My final question here, number 10, tree clearing and subdivision. So, my understanding with forestry laws, if someone does a clearing and they say, I put in a 10-acre clear cut, which is permissible under Maine State Forestry. Oh, I decided some lot a year later, now it's gonna be a subdivision. My understanding is there's a 5-year wait period from clearing to when you can change the land use from a forestry practice land use to a subdivision. How is this different?
Okay, my understanding of the subdivision law
Mm-hmm.
is that if liquidation harvesting, like you described, has been done in the prior 5 years, they have to provide a forester's certification that was done according to the state laws for timber harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they provide that certified letter, that satisfies the ordinance and they can go forward with the subdivision.
After 5 years?
No, at that time.
Yeah.
As long as they provide the certification that any harvesting done in the prior 5 years followed the forestry department rules. Okay, now, this is dealing with where you have the subdivision that may not have had any clearing. But this prevents them from, because they can't start any construction of roads, infrastructure, or anything else until they get their final approval, because if the planning board denies the application, but the language is not clear right now. The town attorney has suggested or stated she believes it is a violation for them to go in and start cutting the trees for the roadbed,
Mm-hmm.
even though the ordinance isn't clear on that. So this is just to clarify the
Yeah.
town attorney's opinion, to
Yeah.
put everybody on notice in the development community that you can't go in and start clearing the lots or the road or any of the infrastructure, because and one of the issues that's precipitating this is the relatively new application of the bat breeding roosting season, where developers are not allowed, if they get a DEP approval, to clear any trees within a certain window,
Mm-hmm.
which is the prime construction window.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a real motivation for developers to go and clear the areas that have to be cut before they are stopped.
Yeah. It's like
And the town
June-
attorney has said they just gotta work that out.
It's like June 1 to August 15th, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't want perfect to be the enemy of good here, but where I do see challenges with this is that you can meet all forestry regulations and reasonably do a harvest that looks exactly like a subdivision
Yeah.
lot. Like I did a gravel 4-season road so I could get my equipment in there, and I cut 4 1-acre patch cuts to promote tolerant hardwood regeneration. That's very easy to do. And then I just happened next year to decide, maybe I'll sell it. That so I don't think will prevent that in its entirety, but I think it's a good step, and that's just still something to be mindful, because there's a couple examples in town where we're seeing.
Right,
some
just let me
training.
clarify. This is once they file their subdivision application.
Okay, so this is saying you
So what they
can't go
do
in and call
before
it
that,
forestry
they're-
after you've submitted it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can't start cutting trees once you file your
Yeah.
application while
So
the project is under review.
They're gonna wanna get applications in sooner if the completion of the harvest has to be prior to June 1, or then they're not starting until after August
But
15th.
part of the reason for that is that the stormwater calculations are based on how much disturbed land there is.
Mhm.
And so the planning board's reviewing the engineering plans based on those areas being wooded. And now they've been cleared, it changes everything.
Mhm.
So this is to clarify, once you start your application process, you can't be out there clearing for any purposes.
That answers my three long-winded questions. I appreciate that.
That is the most important part of this update to this ordinance
Yeah,
section here.
so I think it's a big one. Awesome. So number 3,
I have
part
a
3.
question.
Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Did y'all have any recent conversations with the town attorney about inserting something for applicants on compliance audits?
Compliance audits,
Maybe for some high risk related request on this Jaden Pitt issue.
that is a completely separate issue.
I know, but a person gets planning board approval for certain criteria. And on a high risk item, which might be a gravel pit, might be something else, inserting some language where
That
there'll be
would-
some compliance.
Yeah,
audit.
and there is a provision in the subdivision regulations that says if they are in violation of subdivision regulations on another project, that gives the planning board authority not to process their permit for subdivision. It does not extend to other parts of the ordinance. We clarified that. Okay, but she did say that if this person is in violation of other ordinances, that can be a factor in deciding whether they have the technical capacity to do the project in keeping with the ordinance. So if they're violating the ordinance somewhere, then that is a basis for saying, what's to prevent you from violating the ordinance here? Obviously, you don't have the technical ability to follow the ordinances. So until you prove to us you can, so indirectly, they can consider those violations of other parts.
I think that we will need to get to your larger issue separate of the codification process, but I see where it's going.
I think it's important to note that, that the ship has pretty much sailed. Any changes we make now will hold up the whole process.
Because the public notice says
We're
for,
in the window for, we either like this or we miss this year, so.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is I wanna be back on that.
Give George something, he's probably something to work on.
Add to George's list. Real quick, so actually, you know what? We'll keep moving. It's not related, so. Okay,
Great,
part 3.
We're all still with part 2?
thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, so part 3, codified land use. Too many things to get into detail here, but basically just putting punctuation in right spots, making grammatical errors, changing things from select men to select board, that type of thing. Very, very thorough. As it says here, over 100 different edits to that, just to really clarify and bring it into compliance. There were several other topics that we punted this year. They're on our list for next time we once we get past the town meeting. And we'll do this again in a year. But we won't get into those details now, but there's always something. There's always something that we can improve on, and we're gonna continue to do that. So next is May 20th. We have our last public meeting, and it's basically just to say, here's where we're at, here's what it is. We can't make any changes at this point, but just to keep everybody informed. You've been provided with the draft language that will be presented at town meeting for vote. Just didn't know if you had any questions on that part.
No.
I don't think that's part of the packet tonight.
No, we got it right
The
here.
warrant.
The warrant article,
Warrants.
sorry.
Yeah, it's right here.
Thank you.
Also
Yes,
warrant.
warrant articles.
Well, first off, this has been a lot of work, and you all have done a fantastic job handling this. This has been a long process. I remember when we first approved the, codification contract, what feels like, a lifetime ago. So I really appreciate both of your leadership on this and the hard work of the whole committee, keeping us up to date the whole time through, always being public and open to and transparent. So, I think this is a really prime example of how municipal government can work effectively and really well. So I just want to laud you all with that. This is awesome. I'm all good with it as we see it here, especially with our clarification questions. Does anyone else have any questions?
Just a comment, if somebody wants to see the details, it's on the town meeting link, so if you wanna really get into,
Yeah,
they did a great job explaining it tonight, but if you wanna dig further in there to the folks up there, so.
yeah. Some of, I've looked, I know when we first talked about some of those like editorial details, it's like a lot of like piecemeal, lack of consistency, not in ideology, but in verbiage and stuff like that. And one thing I'm happy for getting all that fixed is I use the search function a lot in our, and so like I start by looking for something and I'm typing select board, select men. Just board. It's just gonna be nice to be able to just type in what I'm looking for and find all the results. So, well, seeing no other questions, we just need a motion to. Well, we don't actually approve anything on this. We'll approve the warrant language, but we won't
It's in the
approve.
warrant article.
We won't approve this.
You can move those forward, though, right, either way.
But yeah, we
approve the
can
language.
do a motion to move the article warrant language forward.
I'd make that motion.
That's made by Josh. Do we have
I
a
will
second? Second. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Thank you for the grant.
Doesn't seem like any work at all.
I'm sorry.
Nice and easy, right? No
Yeah.
work.
And this task, John, was this why you switched boards? I mean, this is getting this.
I miss all of them, so
Yeah.
they were more fun.
Oh, boy.
Whoa.
What's that lawyer humor? Alrighty, well, any questions or discussion? All in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Perfect. Did
Just,
you all have any questions, comments for us?
I do, this presentation that we made tonight, I plan on reduplicating this at town meeting.
Yeah.
Is that more or less than you would expect, or?
That meets the expectations because that is what's like, we always advertise our agendas and public comment, but we're a routine meeting, so I don't feel like as many people always like pay attention to that aspect. But when the planning board says we're going to present on the ordinance changes and the warrant language, that reaches a certain threshold. So I think be duplicating it for the people who might be watching or the people in the room it's still worth it. So.
Okay.
Appreciate the
Thanks,
question.
Brian, good job, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Alrighty,
Thanks, Brian.
we're gonna move to item C here. Discussion of EMT service funding. So, we can have Chief come up here, but I'll kick it off for us. More or less talking with Jerry, kind of informing that we could use a little bit more money in part-time wages to cover the needs of the EMT, so we can continue to offer a 24-hour EMT service in town. A lot of shifts are going unfilled right now because of the wage issue. But that can be offset by new charges. I actually just was talking with Chief earlier today. We're not charging CMP, for example, when we do traffic control for them for 2 hours because they've got a transformer that blew up. I don't know anyone else's experience, but CMP charges me for everything they do. So we can return the favor a little bit on that. Car accidents, we're not charging the insurance companies when we respond to car accidents, definitely not charging when we're doing extractions and stuff like that. And so Chief's gonna give us a little bit of update on the numbers here and make a suggestion to our final budget here. But it's gonna be a net zero impact because it will be all completely offset by a new revenue stream. So I don't wanna steal all your thunder, Chief, but
You want me to
Jerry?
do it? So, yeah, let me refer you to page 13 in the budget. I think you have it. These are really minor.
And I just wanna
But,
know.
so this is more just for
real quick,
transferring the budget, because
Yeah.
it changed.
Real
very
quick, just
little.
because I know we do have budget committee members, this information has come to fruition since we handed the packet over to you. So this was not withheld. This is new. But we're on page 13.
Yeah, the public safety page, you got, see
Yep.
that? So in talking with the chief and learning more about his line of business, EMTs get paid at different levels depending on their license or basic. And those holes aren't getting filled, which means he's going on them. So we did a really sort of deep dive into that line and what he's doing and all of the calls and that sort of thing. And after working with Mark, line 307020, yeah, Mark Roy, the line that was 296,770.
701307020 part-time staff wages.
Yeah. Budget we had 296,770.
Mhm.
That's now 300,000.
So it was
So that's like a 3,230 difference. So $3,230 difference. So it's really for transparency. And then if you go to page 7, which is the revenue side, his ambulance fees is now, it was 125, it's now 129. So it washes out, actually we're $800 into the positive, so it just sort of washes out that. So your budget impact is still 13.5, so there's really no change.
Yeah, so page 7, ambulance fees,
Yeah.
line 01006470. We're up to 129,
Yeah,
129,000.
yeah, it's not a lot of change, but I think it gives the chief, a little bit more flexibility depending on who
Mhm.
answers those calls, depending on the degree of license. But chief can explain more about it. We spent several hours talking about this.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's-
and ultimately, there's an expectation to provide 24-hour ambulance coverage,
Right,
and we need to meet that expectation. If we're failing to meet that, that's a liability concern. And so adjusting the wages for the per diem coverage there is necessary. Thankfully, it can be offset by
the revenue.
the revenue. So, did anyone have any questions?
I'm sorry, the original budget that we approved was 125,000
For ambulance fees?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, for the revenue,
Yeah,
Yeah, and now it's 129.
so that's a $4,000
Yep.
increase, not 34,000.
yeah, no,
No,
4,000.
the 3230 is the, expenditure side.
3,230 on the expenditure side.
Yes, so, but by increasing the revenue 4,000, we're increasing expenditures 34,000.
No, 3,200.
3,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you for helping with my math.
Yeah. So we're positive $770
Okay.
on this change.
Excellent, thank you.
In all intent and
And
purposes,
so
is
it's
really no
it's a
change.
wash. It doesn't impact like the budget committee's recommendations. Because it's not a net increase or decrease. $700 over the course of the $13 million budget. I guess 700 is, but it just brings that line up 3,200 and offsets it with 4,000 in revenue. Did
So
you have
that-
anything you want to add, Chief?
That was on me. That was just math with EMT stipends coming up for the new year, all on me. I have to say, the invaluable of being able to call the town accountant that we use, Mark Roy, who can pull up the last ambulance revenue receipts. Because usually you all see them year by year. He can pull up amounts received last 15 months, average them out. Excuse me. Because of the 20% increase that you guys authorized in March.
20% on our billed services.
Billable services for ambulance. So we haven't even gotten into cost recovery for motor vehicle accident, CMP. That's coming. You authorized that investigation, dealing with the town manager. So there'll be more fees, if you will, but cost recovery for car wrecks. But that 4,000 is legitimately coming and quoted to the town account. So it is a wash. But full transparency, because I had to change it up.
So
We
this
talk-
is just gonna adjust the wages for, is it just the?
Just
second shift?
EMTs.
EMT's second shift and weekends?
just EMT. So, we break the shifts 12 hours day and night.
Yep.
So your EMT license, so firefighters, all those guys, support, they're all under, minimum wage
Yeah.
statutes. So that went up in January, won't go back up until the following
Can you
January.
clarify that? So that isn't up for discussion. The fire.
Correct.
Fire, like, so when there's a fire and people respond, firefighters, everyone there is paid minimum wage who responds, but that's not a wage we set. That's
Correct.
set through the
Yep.
association.
So this is just EMT licensure,
Yes.
EMT basic, advanced and paramedic.
But if
which are
someone is a
assigned to you.
volunteer firefighter and they also have their EMT certification and they show up to a fire to fight the fire as a firefighter, they're paid the firefighter wage, correct?
No, they are always at the EMT.
Okay,
It's
so
a
they are-
higher
yeah,
standard,
yeah.
so a blended rate,
Yep, okay.
if you will.
Perfect. And my question, when we talk about fee recovery here, that is, some of those are new to Durham. Are those new to the industry? Like,
No, so we haven't implemented that. That'll be a contract for you to all review. And that might be a policy change again for the select board, not new to the industry. The Turner, Freeport does it on their own. I mean, there's a lot of towns around here that do billable services. So extrication, which doesn't happen, it happened about 3 times in Durham last year. Directing traffic. So if you're out there for an hour or two directing traffic, you can bill for flaggers. If you're providing, we did this weekend in front of the Get and Go, 1 lane of operation, fluid hazard, mitigation, cleanup. CMP, I think it was the same day. It was just myself directing traffic, but they had a pole fire on Rabbit Road. I think you saw our text on that to go out, that there'd be a loss of power in the area. They get billed for that.
So CMPs used to see bills like that from municipalities. It's not like they're gonna
Yes.
tell us go pound sand or something.
Correct. And this is a third party vendor that provides with our documentation of the bill. With a fantastic success rate.
Yeah.
And they're based out of Maine.
Yeah, awesome.
Again, you'll be seeing that across your
Mhm.
desk. Sure.
Perfect. Okay, well, we probably ought to make a motion to approve the, we were talking about finalizing our budget later, so we can carry over this, to approve in our budget recommendation, which is next. So any other questions for Chief or Jerry on EMT service funding or anything like that? Awesome. Well, thank you all for the hard work. Pulling that together.
Appreciate Jerry and certainly Mark for his information.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Alrighty, well, next we have the final budget, we have received budget committee recommendations from, we have received recommendations from the budget committee to the select board. But also this is our opportunity to review all recommendations and information we've received to date and make any adjustments, on the budget before we, send it to the warrant. So were either one of you here to speak on behalf of this budget committee tonight? Okay. So I'll just read, I have an email here from Milt, the chair, Milt Simon, the chairperson of the budget committee. And they have their recommendations. So this will all be on our website if it isn't already. It was all part of the packet that you can find on the website. But I will vocalize the changes here and that the impact that has. So, for the general government line, the budget committee has recommended $763,309 compared to the select board recommendation of $821,165. So the budget committee has recommended a $57,856 reduction in general government. They provided some written documentation as to why. They want to see the wage table implemented over a 2-year period rather than the wage now. They want to see the town manager's raise decreased to 6%. And they said, we understand the contract was already created. And so they acknowledge that can't be changed, but they've made that recommendation. They want to remove our line for unemployment because they think that the miscellaneous fund line is enough to cover that as a contingency. They said human resources was budgeted at 20,000. due to many projects planned, but it's only now needed for employee HR issues beyond the town manager's ability. So with that in mind, they want to decrease business services, which are our human resources and our accountant. They want to remove the text messaging service because we only sent out 3 messages per month and they felt that that was not a good use of money. They want to decrease our the town hardware line, particularly removing 2,500, which is scheduled to use to purchase tablets for the select board. They request that the select board try to find a grant for that. I'm not familiar with grants for that for the select board, but that was the request. They want to reduce a current full-time staff person to part-time and take away their benefits as part of that. And so they understand that the person's already been hired, but they would like to see those hours reduced. And just clarify that person is filling an existing vacancy, so it was no net increase on hours. And they want to decrease dues and subscriptions for services. So that's what is recommended in the general government line. The next recommendation from them was public safety, where they want to raise and appropriate $745,485 compared to the select board's $772,230 for a decrease of $26,745. They want to decrease department heads raise to 6%, which they feel is still enough above COLA to make it competitive. They want to do tiered increases of the wage table for all other staff as well. And so they're suggesting those cuts come out of payroll for public safety. Public Works, the budget committee has recommended $1,922,727 compared to the select board's $1,959,352, which is a $36,625 reduction. They would like to see that come out of department heads' wages. But they did feel like they said we didn't change the full-time raises, as it's the only department that we have been told is truly having a hard time keeping employees due to wages. And they want to suggest that road painting and striping be kept at maintenance amount. And so that's a total reduction there of $36,625. And then they recommended reducing, raising and appropriating $40,000 for the fire department capital reserve, which is compared to the town's capital reserve of 100, or the select board's recommendation of 140,000. That's a $100,000 decrease on the capital reserve. And they said it's because they don't see any expenditures planned for 2027 or 2028. And they want to zero out the municipal buildings capital reserve, which is a reduction of $5,000. And they feel that there are ample funds available in the municipal building capital reserve. Their final recommendation is to use $350,000 of fund balance, which is $150,000 less than the select board's recommended $500,000. So total, that's a net change on our budget of $76,226, representing a 0.76% reduction in mill rate. So less than 1% reduction overall. The majority of that being taken from fire department, capital reserve, and public safety. So that's their recommendations that we received. We'll provide this information as well, and put that on the website. Any questions?
Question.
Yeah.
What is the net effect of that decrease on the average home in general?
Yeah, so I'll send this to everyone. I ran some numbers personally. So if you have a home that's valued at, and I did this calculation myself, and I'll have it double checked by the accountant and we'll put it on the website. And so I haven't shared this with anyone. I just did it myself. If you have a home that's valued at $300,000 after your deduction from things like homestead exemption and stuff like that, the budget committee will save you over the course of the year $58.69. So about $4.89 a month. If you have a home valued at 400,000, you will see a $78.25 saving or $6.52 saving per month. And if you have a home that's valued at $500,000, you'll see a $97.81 yearly saving or $8.15 a month. So.
I didn't expect an answer tonight on that question, so thank you.
No, I ran the numbers because that's how. Well,
I have that right here.
I actually
was not expecting.
No, and I wasn't expecting anyone to ask it. I just did it myself because I was reviewing some other municipalities' annual reports, and they oftentimes will show this is the budget impact of this budget versus this budget for houses. And so I ran, and I'll make it public, but I ran the numbers for everything from $100,000 valuation to $1 million valuation. And so if you have $1 million valuation, which somehow does exist in Durham, that is only $195.63 savings, so $16.30 per month. And so,
Okay, I'm asking this again, but my follow-up question was gonna be, and I don't expect an answer for this one.
yeah,
The average tax value of a home in Durham. I can't imagine at this point it's more than 300,000 or 400,000 at most. Average.
I can answer part of that actually. So in the last 12 months, the median sale price in Durham has been $402,000. That's sale price. So that's not valuation price. And that's just the last 12 months, which have been, I would say, probably artificially high compared to the normal valuation. So I've pulled up the tax assessment report that's on the website, and I was going to painstakingly go through and look at every valuation and then average it by households to come up with a rough number. But based off of my rough ocular assessment and using like sale assessment, I think we're somewhere around an average home price in the $300,000 range. Inventory up until recently between $150,000 and $300,000 was kind of where most of the sale prices were going. And so, if you are closer to that $200,000 mark, you're talking a $39 annual decrease in taxes. And if you're at $150, you're looking at, or $150,000, you're looking at like a $19 annual decrease. So I think what I want to do is make sure that this table numbers are all correct and pretty much show everything from about 200,000 to really about 600,000, which I think captures 95% of the homes in Durham under our current valuation. So, very small difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly small, I think.
The numbers you threw out, we're now at a $25 mill rate versus 22 or 23 last year. So are you talking, the numbers you threw out with the difference between select board and?
Yeah, so the
budget committee?
select board is a $25.42, and the budget committee is $25.22. So a 19 or 20 cent difference between the mill rates. And so the numbers that I put out are calculated at the select board value being $25.42 and the budget committee being $25.22. So. But
not the $2 difference from last year in overall mill.
no, I'm comparing the proposed changes from both boards.
Two.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's no getting around. It's either a 13.5% change from the select board or a 12.8 change from the budget committee. There's no getting around the fact that can't sugarcoat a double digit tax increase, which is the first one I can recall in Durham in a very long time.
What it shows to me is that we've been really tight for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think everybody agrees that there are services that need to be provided.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue to need to be provided at the level that they are being provided at now. Some might say they should be provided at a higher level, more hours at the town office, that sort of thing, but, to me, that's a positive, and I might take some flack for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. What disappoints me is the budget committee recommendations are dealing with a lot of policy considerations that don't belong there, and so it's second guessing, or I'll call it second guessing decisions that we've made as a board, which is not what I think the role of the budget committee is or was intended to be. And those things, I think, there were some discussions about these things when we were discussing them, and that's when that appropriate conversation should be. And that's what I think that's the appropriate time and not in this. But I throw that out there for increased participation in our meetings and discussions. And maybe that means we need to figure out a way when we're talking about certain policy changes that we need to find a way to incorporate more public comment. I mean, we've had the discussions about getting information out there, and I don't think we've come up with a way to do it. I mean, I for one will tell you that, yeah, we don't use the text messaging services very often, and Rabbit Road doesn't affect me. But still, it's nice to know that if I were going that direction, to expect this, or to go a different way. Update on bulky waste,
Could I say something real quick about the text? To your point, I have never used the fire extinguisher in my kitchen, but I still want it to be there.
right,
You know?
I mean, that's sort of the way, I mean, the way that I look at it is, we're in, I say this, an older town, right? I think we've discussed, many of the residents are older. Many, I don't know if that's the right word, but, and if my parents lived here, I would want that. I think it's a great idea. I think it's helpful. I think it provides information to people who, they have the ability to get the information that's out there in a way that, I don't go on Facebook all the time. I don't go to the town website every day or every week. I look at the email Friday morning at 8 o'clock. I expect it at 8 o'clock. And once I have 5 minutes free Friday mornings, I go and look at it. The text messages, I think, are helpful and a reminder, and I think it would be a damn shame to get rid of them.
But should we, I don't think we need to discuss individual line items today. I agree with you 100%. It is very frustrating that people don't come out. We had a great deal of participation and whatever on, throwing away your garbage bags, which are.
We just gotta talk trash more, John.
Well, which are minor compared to, millions of dollars of increases in our taxes. So that is frustrating.
Not
mean, there are
millions of
some
dollars,
people-
not millions of dollars from us, though.
What's that?
Not millions of dollars from our budget, from the overall budget
Overall, but,
that we don't control
Well,
70-something% of.
but I mean, it is, but
I think
we
this,
we have not, I mean, there are a couple of folks here who always hear and always participate, stuff like that. But, hopefully we'll get more than 120 people at the town meeting, but that's how we get there, more people to show
Well-
up. When we're making decisions to add people, buy this or that, it would be nice if people came out and said, no, we don't want you to do that.
point of clarification,
I don't know how
we
to
didn't
get-
add anybody, we just transferred, but I see your point.
Change, increase that salary, but I mean, we didn't get any participation on that, and
Yeah,
so it is frustrating. Again, we're not gonna solve that tonight, because I know long before I joined the board, you all were working on it.
well, I do think you're getting to a really good point, both of you, about participation, is that ultimately, I think that in the last 5 years, we've made the ability to participate much easier between our new website, putting the agendas on, so you always know what we're talking about, and us adhering to that, our live streaming, which sometimes they do get a couple hundred views, our text service, our news blast, all of those sorts of things. But ultimately, I was talking with the chairperson of the school board, and she was saying they were offering dinner at some of their meetings in the past, and they
I
still
missed
didn't
that.
get people out there. And so it's tough, you know, and I think that, but this goes to show, as I know that we've talked about this, and I know one of the people here tonight have made public comment, like talk about a voter referendum, on the budget, moving towards a model like that, which I think we should put on, their straw poll in November, because, you know, we'll see that, I think that the most participated in process was during COVID, when people were able to vote on everything at the polls. That was
Yes.
like, you know, the last few years, I think the highest participation I've seen at a town meeting is like 150. That was like a
Like
record.
165.
165. Yeah, that was a few years ago. And you know, we have the ability to do special town meetings, but I just feel like we gotta reserve that so much, because sometimes 40 people show up, you know, and it's like. But I do think one thing that is good, though, regardless of getting participation, is that all of this stuff has been on the website for a long time, and we've been super transparent. So if people want to be informed, they can be. We get a lot of questions from the same folks, which is good. Love to see more questions from other folks too. But I don't think we can fix that. But I think that decreasing our outreach would never be beneficial for that either. So I don't have any questions. I have requested some additional follow-up information, particularly around recommendations pursuant to staff wages, because we had provided the wage study, and on the one meeting that was recorded, I watched it, and there's a lot of discussion about research, if we would call it that, done by individual board members on the budget committee. And I've asked for that to be sent to me. It's been sent in an incomplete manner. I've asked twice now for some follow-up information with no response. And so that's not really their role, is to set staff wages, but I do want to make sure we have all that information to be transparent. But everything we have from our side will be up and ready to go. And I encourage people to review all of this, and we are available to ask questions. I'm gonna do some more outreach on my own via the social media posts, and also I was thinking about maybe opening up an afternoon where I can come into the town office and do office hours, just if anyone wants to come in and ask questions about the budget. I know Jerry has had office hours for a long time, but the budget's really the select board budget, not the town manager budget, so opportunity to just have office hours for people to come and say, can you just explain this? I don't really want to hash it out in an online format or something like that. So do our best to get that information out. And it will be in our award-winning annual report, so.
I have one other question.
Yeah.
Do we track how much money we spend on printing like all this paperwork for us? Because I feel like I have so much of it. I have no place to keep it, so every few months I'm like, I gotta just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine
Well,
that
paper.
over the course of a year,
I don't know that number, but I know in my wife's work, when they switched to tablets, it dropped their printing and ink records so low. Their vendor called and said, have you switched vendors, because we haven't heard from you
Yeah.
recently. You haven't been buying anything. And they said, no, we just don't print anymore, you know.
When that idea was first floated, you had said how much you had gone through. I don't remember
It's a lot of
specific
paper,
numbers,
yeah.
but I mean,
And the wear and tear on the copier. And case in point, tonight when I was printing off all this, it jammed the copier during business hours, and it fixed itself, but it almost looked like it was gonna be a major problem.
Well,
We were gonna be without the copier for a day.
This
No,
is,
it's-
this staff
and-
time, this is 20 pages, and this is
Yeah.
the 8th version I've had printed off for me. And 6 of us have received that, and I think that there's still a place for print, you know, I'm a tree farmer, I want pulp to go to the market, don't get me wrong.
right, well, people will be attending, we need to print things off, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we have a lot of paper that is basically a waste of spend.
Should we
So,
take $5,000 out of our printing money then?
maybe,
I think that that's something we could look at in the
Like,
future.
I think
Do
so.
us
It's 25, it's 2,500
Or
for
2,500?
Yeah,
But I think that that's something we could look at, if we get the tablets, evaluate that the following year. Because toner is expensive too, you
So
know,
printing is the annual report or any other additional stuff. Remember when we did the little brochure that?
yeah,
That's what the printing does. It's not printing for this. That's not.
yeah, but that's getting
Where does
absorbed,
this
that
fall?
cost is getting
No, but
absorbed in.
This is, the paper is in supplies.
Yeah.
Printing is actually printing services.
Yeah, but I guess what we're getting, we might be using the word printing, but what we're talking about is like
Supplies. I'm happy with
supplies,
Supplies.
week, monthly, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, a $2,500 reduction at this point might get us down to, might shave 4/100ths of a penny.
Still $2,500 less. I mean, we,
I don't think it would be even realized in the mill rate though, because if you got,
it's not just about that. It's about, we talked about $3,200 in added expenses and 4,000. We balance that off. So that's something we could look at is balancing that, take that $2,500
yeah,
off.
more than happy to have that discussion.
Do that next.
When we do that next, but either way, do want to say I appreciate the budget committee's work on providing us with all this stuff. We sat down with the chair and the vice chair. I think Josh and I had a informal meeting with them in, was it November or December of last year? And laid out a timeline. That timeline was adhered to with a couple of minor changes due to like typical scheduling things that pop up. So I appreciate, their participation in this, providing us with all these documents. Would have liked to see more recording occur, but we will be able to better delineate that in the future and move on from there. So, any questions on this before we move it? So we're still the same budget or same agenda item, but I want to move on from reviewing the budget committee's recommendations to finalizing anything we want to now that we've received our final recommendations. And that I should clarify, because like John had reached out and said, is this the meeting to bring up last minute finalizations? That has always been transparent to everyone, that ultimately the select board creates a budget, sends it to the budget committee creates a recommendation, sends it back, and the select board has one final opportunity to choose if they want to rectify, to make budget changes, taking into consideration the budget committee's recommendation. So, moving into the budget process now. Anyone have any recommendations or any part of the budget they want to talk about before we move towards to adopting it? I do know, John, that you had emailed about the
Since
Bulky Waste Day.
Juliet and her daughter are both here to support bulky trash waste.
Yeah, I will say Deb and I were at Bulky Waste Day. It was great participation this year. A lot of folks coming 3 or 4 times, which extended it quite a bit. But I will tell you that no donut was left uneaten from that event. We brought in plenty of
Well, the
supplies.
guys and gal
Yeah.
did a great job, so.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to reconsider, bulky trash day for next year.
Can you remind me what line that is?
Uh,
Well, it's missing, but
There's a line item, it's just not, there's no.
It's highlighted because it's a change.
okay. Oh, that's not
On the public
It's
works.
page 17, line item 01427815.
Thank you, ma'am.
that highlighted blank there. Okay. Yeah. So, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would, once again, make a motion that we reinstate bulky waste day. I think last time we talked about it, we were talking 20.
Do you want to make a motion for an amount or just to reinstate? And then
Oh,
we'll talk
I'll do
about
the first-
whichever your preference is.
I would do both. I would, make a motion that we reinstate, for the amount of $20,000. We'll kill 2 birds.
I will second that motion. So, open up the floor of discussion. John, I know you.
We thought, the tipping fees this year might be more than planned. And maybe, we thought maybe that was because we didn't have bulky waste last year, so people had things piling
We
up.
had it last year.
No, we had it last
Yeah, we
year.
had
but
last
The year.
What,
What was
3 years or so
we
ago.
thought that
Was
it might be
that
higher.
long ago? Oh, that's right, we had it last year, it was raining, that's
Mhm.
right.
But part of, I think, the concern about it being higher was that there was gonna be a preemptive exodus of bulky waste in the town ahead of the pay-as-you-throw system kicking in. And one thing I did not expect that I saw a lot of is there was a lot of trash barrels thrown away.
Yeah.
On
really?
bulky waste, like a lot of people brought in their old barrels that they used to use for trash and threw them out there. And so I would say I saw at least 40.
Really?
Yeah.
I was greeting people as they came in, as they drove in, and I heard a lot of very positive comments about bulky waste day, and people were very appreciative that we have it. I did hear some there were some comments where maybe we should have it twice a year. Someone said, I don't think we should be having this at all, but I'm taking advantage of it because you're doing it. There was all kinds, but the majority of people were very happy to be,
And there were a
have
lot
an
of-
avenue to get rid of a lot of their trash. There was a lot of stuff coming through.
I would be interested to see the total count,
Right,
but the first time I went around 9:15, I stopped just past AmVets. The second time I went at 11:15, I was, tailgating AmVets.
yeah,
I-
we were busy until 11:50.
I will say, while I agree, it doesn't surprise me the people who went to Bulky Waste Day like Bulky Waste Day. So
That's right.
I did talk with them all as well. And then we have received, and John, thank you for using social forums to kind of prompt some feedback. I think that's
Yeah, a lot of it.
a really good use there. We have received some emails, we have received some social media outreach about, I'd say about 99% of the commentary has been positive. My one concern, and I, just based off of my observation, is I hate to be accusatory, but there was definitely some instances of it being used outside of the intent of what I think Bulky Waste Day is. And so we had instances of people who had rental trucks who were coming in 3 and 4 times. Some instances of people coming in with what was clearly the truck logoed with a business on the side and throwing what looked to be construction material out for free. Instances of double axle 16-foot trailers filled literally 7 feet tall, completely mired over. And so my understanding is that initially, and Bulky Waste Day predates me, is that Bulky Waste Day was intended for that couple items you can't get rid of kicking around your house. When we see people come in and they have entire truck beds filled with sections of carpet rolled up and apparently, are doing a building demolition somewhere, or we hear rumors, I'll leave it at that, of people who are offering to, for cash, go clean your yard up for you and then throwing it away for free at Bulky Waste Day. That raises a little bit of a red flag for me, because I think, well, maybe there's a system to address some of that. And I know you had done a lot of work earlier in the year, John, about like, maybe there's pay for certain items, because we already have that for tires. We already have that for, like anything with Freon in it.
Freon, I think it,
So-
but they only take like refrigerators, I mean.
Yeah,
Calvin
or
talked
in
about
air
that, like,
conditioners
That's
and stuff
alright.
like that. And so I don't want to go through the process of adding on a whole litany of other price points, but I do think we could. I would be supportive of your recommendation if we could offset a portion of that via revenue through a tag you have to pay for a trip.
I think
That-
Juliet had a good recommendation of, I think, $20 or.
And to give you an example, before Bulky Waste Day, because I've done some construction demo 2 weeks ago, I loaded up my horse trailer and went over to the dump, and it's $50 for me to go to the dump. I threw out $250 worth of general trash at the dump, and it was a $50 even charge for that day, and that was 250 pounds of a little bit of metal, a little bit of sheetrock, a little bit of wood, that sort of stuff. So that is, if that was my only trip to the dump this year, that cost me $100. I'm not suggesting we do a $100. We want this to be, if we're gonna have this, I think we want it to be a service that is easier and more approachable. But I think that even a per trip, like we take the ticket as you come in and it goes, and then if you come back, you need another ticket. And we change the color and we make sure people aren't making fake golden tickets or,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean,
but to that price point of $10, $15 is kind of what I was thinking. In addition to any per item disposal, like tires or Freon or stuff like that. That was what I was thinking about. Because I think you brought up a good point of a lot of positive feedback.
yeah,
About it.
I think it's, like you said, if you live in Freeport, it's gonna cost you a heck of a lot more than that. And
Well, if we can,
Lisbon just doubled all theirs, so I think a reasonable fee, and we could probably discuss that. I mean, we have the authority to set that, I think.
yeah.
So,
Post the town meeting
Mhm,
to find a way to help offset it, so.
mhm.
I don't know that we're gonna get $20,000, but, if we get 4, I don't know how many, we probably had a couple hundred trucks go through there at least, vehicles, if not more.
so my concern with charging and having that take place is this is additional work for the staff. They don't have bandwidth for this. I mean, already it's pretty spent. The layout of however we make it of, you know, buying a ticket, having the ticket, showing up, Jess is there, you guys are there, but like Calvin's there. It's just, it's a lot to ask of them to do
I
on a
mean,
Saturday.
I'm not sure it is. I mean, it depends on how you do it, obviously.
Yeah,
You know, if you
Easily
start
collected
charging, I mean, my
20
original idea of, okay, let's see, you got a refrigerator and
but I'm
that
talking
gets to be
about,
expensive, but if we're
right.
talking about a simple $10, $15, $20 fee.
Okay,
I-
so
I-
but just back to the budget, it's putting $20,000 in, are we gonna put a revenue line
That-
in for the
so,
potential
I think
or
That's
not?
what I'm getting at, is that my support would be contingent on offsetting a portion of it with revenue via a ticket sale personally.
I think that we will be lucky if we break even with it.
Well, I don't think the intent is to break even. I think
Or
it's just,
make
We're gonna lose.
I think that what we've
Yeah.
heard is that so not last year, but the year before, we got rid of bulky waste, it was 1 year, and then everyone said, no, we want bulky waste, and then there's, examples of trash getting dumped on the boat launch and stuff like that. And so now we're saying, well, we do want bulky waste. It's like, well, maybe there's a balance between have a bulky waste day, but it's not entirely included in the taxes. There is an element of like participatory fee to help offset part of that. Plus, there's a little bit of revenue from tires, and that sort of stuff. And so I think that if we could offset, try to shoot for a quarter of it to offset, that could be maybe a balance. And my intent, design with the tag is largely to prevent people from abusing it.
Mhm.
And and I know that it's just a worm, because a can of worms, because it's like, oh, is it $10 for a Honda 1998 Honda Civic with a bag of trash in the back, but it's also $10 for an F-350 with a 20-foot flatbed.
I would say 10 and 20, $10 for your car. I mean, I used to haul a lot of stuff in my Forester when I
Yeah,
first got here, but 10 for a car, 10 for.
we could
truck,
have, if
10
we go
for a
that way,
trailer.
we could have a pretty good calendar of photos of ridiculous stacked vehicles at bulky waste day.
Yeah.
So
Josh?
I didn't get to go. It seems that we have basketball every,
And baseball too.
yeah, so, we had to travel out of town for basketball. We had an 8:30 game. I had to drive by everybody in line. And my wife said, "Oh, don't you want to go?" And I said, "Can I turn around?" She said, "No." I do think it's a service. I do think that, instead of doing tags, we could have somebody standing
Volunteer.
there taking the cash or check. We're gonna do that. I think that's just a better way to do it.
I
I've
think we-
easily done it when I was
Mhm.
standing.
Yeah, I mean, my thought would be if it's 20 cost and 5, we get 5 in revenue. We figure out how many people, we don't know how many trucks, but 20 for a truck or whatever the right number, we can figure it out over the next year.
Yeah.
We have 10 months to figure that
Yeah.
piece of it out.
I also.
And how to do it, what's the right way to.
Well, sorry, Jerry had something, if you don't mind, Josh.
I'm thinking that if you could decide on what you wanna do money wise, you can debate this. in
Yeah,
another
that's the thing that
discussion
John's getting at,
sometime,
yeah.
Cause you're
That's
getting
right.
way
Yeah.
off topic.
Yeah, I agree, Jim.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I will say I think that we should also back it up with us as a select board being there to help. Like, and I know we all have scheduling conflicts, so that's not a shot at anybody, but it was chaotic. There was a lot going on. And there's some fiery attitudes from some of the Casella staff that made it a little bit even more chaotic,
that's too
so.
bad, because the comments I heard my experience was they were all good people.
So,
So-
all right, so John, would you accept a friendly amendment to say to reinstate bulky waste at 20,000 and offset it with 5,000 in revenue?
I will withdraw my original motion and make a new motion that we add $20,000 in cost and 5,000 in revenue. And we call it the Julia Kaplinger and her daughter bulky trash day.
Yeah. Perfect. So comments are forwarded to Juliet when I get emails
Yeah,
tomorrow morning? Okay,
she would be glad to take
I'll
it.
second it. All right, do we have any other additional questions or discussions on the topic? Alrighty, all in favor of the motion? Any opposition? It's gonna pass 4-1.
Were you opposed to multi-trash day, if I may ask, or just the?
No, I wish I could have been there, but I just think it's still not fair to other residents who do put into it. And I hope that when we have this discussion for charging, that, yeah, it'll be much better. It'll offset the cost and it'll help some taxpayers, but the goal is also to reduce the budget, and this isn't really doing it, so.
Yeah, okay, but I would have said, I said the same thing. Anyway, we'll go to text messaging
Yeah.
and other things.
No, this
Trying
is
to move
fine.
on.
I will say, we should try to target when Girl Scout cookies are for sale again, because Girl Scouts made a killing in the past on cookies for. And my daughter was there, logging her first volunteer hours at 5 months old. And so no one was mean to me in the line. It's the line girl. That wasn't the intent, but it ended up being the result, so. Alrighty, does anyone else have anything else they want to address in the budget, before we move? And thank you, Julia, for the comment, and thank you everyone who did submit comment. We received quite a bit of public
Thank you,
comment.
daughter, for coming, voluntarily or otherwise.
Alright, do we have any other, recommendations anyone wants to make, before we finalize our budget? And I just want to be clear, Jerry, you've noted, and you will, that, revenue stream, the function of that to be determined. So we'll figure that out at a later date.
Well, I already got.
We know the amount, but how we're gonna get there, we'll figure out at a later
Right,
date.
right, how we get there, thank you.
Any other recommendations for the budget?
I'm wondering if we should talk about the capital reserve area at all. Given what came in from the budget committee. And if there is any opportunity to lower in any spot without adding any risk to long-term planning. In their municipal budget, municipal building capital reserve. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah,
They had reduction of $5,000 in consideration of ample funds available for the next 5-year schedule of expenditures. I mean, if it would make sense to lower that amount that we're putting in this year, maybe that could offset some of the bulky waste.
I'll let you go for it.
So I have multiple concerns with that. One is, you take that out, I think you're also taking out some portion of the interest income that's included in the budget. Correct?
Yes, because interest rates
If you
go
take
down.
out,
Right,
take
because
out or reduce.
if you reduce or take
Yeah.
out,
Mhm.
that the interest income that we have in the budget goes down.
Okay.
So it's, if you talk about the 105,000, I'm not gonna do the math, but it's more than 105,000.
Yeah, right.
Two, say something happens next year, the reason for decreasing the fire department capital reserve was that there are no expenditures scheduled until 2029. What happens if there's a change? What happens if something happens? Two, you take it out now, it's gonna have to get added on to the 2027 or the 2028 or the 2029 budget. And it's passing the buck. And so,
Passing the buck plus interest.
plus interest. So you're passing the buck to a later budget to increase it by this amount. Plus you're lowering the interest, which is gonna lower the interest income this year, which means it'll lower the interest next year and the year after. We implemented this capital reserve funding for a reason.
Yes.
And to me, it was one of, if not the most important things that we as a board have done in the last few years. Because this has the money, it's there.
Mhm.
If, say, you're looking at 2029 and all of a sudden, and in 2028 prices come down for some reason, and you say, holy cow, and then they start going back up, let's do it now. A little early. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes so many things that could be income cost saving measures out of our hands because we're passing the buck to later years. And it's going to increase the taxes that much in later years. And so I understand that this is an increase in our budget. We have been so tight in our budgets, less than 1% left over, which is
Close to half.
right, which is a phenomenal number at the work that Jerry and Mark have been putting into our budgets. And is something frankly that's been 2 or 3 years going, and I think is a remarkable feat. I can't imagine it's gonna keep going much longer, because at some point something's gonna happen, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I understand you wanna lower the budget, but let's not forget. The major increase in our budget is not from what we're doing. It's not from ensuring that the employees are going to have a raise so that they want to stay. It's from the things outside of our control. And so we talk about these increases now. Let's not forget also, because of what we're doing with these capital reserve accounts, our debt payments are going to go down year after year and eventually hopefully reach zero. Right?
Right.
So I think, I understand it's easy to get rid of because, it's for a future date, but it affects so many things. I think it's a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. And so
So,
That's good. That's kind of the discussion I wanted to have.
yeah, I agree with you, Josh. So I can understand. So first off, the answer is, could we get rid of capital investment? Absolutely. We could say we're not investing in the future of the town at all. And that could be a place that we get rid of it. But I think that the comments received kind of go against the logical framework of long-term capital planning. So we have 10 years in front of us of expected expenses to our capital expenses for each department. And those aren't made up numbers. Those are facts and figures. So the 2004, so the 22-year-old pumper will be refurbished at the tune of $150,000 in 2029. Refurbished is the correct word there. So we're valuing that at $150,000 if we did that today. We're planning that in 2029, that's going to be $159,000. We have an ending balance right now of $707,000 in the fire department capital. So you say, oh, no problem. Next year we'll just take that out of there and we'll still have 550 grand left over. 2030, the $700,000 ambulance purchase needs to take place. So we have $700,000 in there now. We put $0 in there. And we pull $150,000, $160,000 out next year. What are we doing the following year? We get into 2029 and saying, well, we're going to put $300,000 to make it back. In my experience, putting your money away and investing your money now saves you in the future, not only because you are gaining the opportunity to invest it, you are avoiding the interest fee. So we're getting a 3% return and we're avoiding a 6% interest fee. That gap widens even more. And it gives us the ability to remain flexible. So if in 2029 or 2028, an F550 ambulance comes on the market for sale at a 20% discount for some reason, maybe there's a liquidation at a town next to us and they need to offload something, we have the flexibility to acquire that at a greater value. And so the idea of capital planning is you every year invest a set amount so you have it available over the course of the next 10 years. To remove 1 year goes completely counter to capital planning and moves back into a model where you're trying to figure out the next year's purchases and then you're borrowing money. And so this is not a solution. It is kicking the can down the road. And when we go to pick that can up later, it's going to cost a lot more money. And so I just don't think that that's the right place to take money out. And so I'm not supportive of any cuts to capital improvement, because that's where we need to be responsible in the long term, personally. Did you, Rebecca or John, did you have anything?
Good discussion. Thank you.
But stay tuned. Next week, I'll be doing an informational video on long-term capital planning and explaining how it works. So, Any other questions on, well, so that, we talked a little bit there about the fire department capital, the municipal building capital reserve. If anything, we're underfunding capital needs in municipal buildings. If we look at the granite foundation at the Eureka Center that has water running through it, or the, the guano filled attic that we got addressed this year. And when we look at the municipal buildings capital reserve, there are expenditures planned for, I think, the public works, heating system for next year. And so if the town wants to cut money, they're cutting it at our own expense in the future. And I think it'd be irresponsible for us to support that now. And if they want to make that change at the town meeting, we'll explain the logic as to why we don't agree with it, but ultimately it's the purview of the town voters. But the supporting documentation we received from the budget committee just doesn't follow the logical foundation of long-term capital planning, so. But that's all I have to say about that. Any other recommendations around the budget? So seeing that, I'd like to have, and I'll make a motion to adopt the budget as amended this evening. Jerry, you got those two minor changes?
Do you want to hear them?
Yes, please.
Okay. So your fire department budget now will go from 749, 630 to 752, 860.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your solid waste hauling will go from 501, 50 to 521, 50. You raised it 20,000, right? Your revenue, so license permits and fees, and I'm looking at the warrant here. It was 160,500. That'll be now 164,500 because we added 4,000 to revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your other revenues will be, it was 160,000, now it'll be 165 because you're gonna make 5,000 in the bulky waste program.
So ultimately, the net change is we have increased spending $23,260.
30.
Sorry,
Like,
20,000
yeah, but
plus the 3,000 is what we're increasing spending.
well, the fire department is 3,000.
Yeah.
It's not just an even 3,000.
3,230.
Yes.
And then it's plus 20,000 to bulky waste day, which is a total increase of $23,230. But we are increasing revenue
By 9.
9,000. So that's giving us a $14,230 net increase. Does that sound right?
Yeah. And we'll have to put this in the budget. You're probably gonna be looking at I don't have an electronic, but you're probably looking at a 13.5 still, maybe 13.6
Well,
impact.
Cause the 3,200 doesn't include FICA or something, whatever else goes with salaries. I mean, it's not much.
no, that includes it. That's just adjusting the salary rate up. So that's built in.
Yeah.
It's
And
not-
so we got a 23,230 minus 9,000. It's a net change of 14,000. We know it's about 100,000 to move 1%. So
Right.
we're talking about a 0.14. My math's
I
right.
think it's important because when we had 20,000 in there before with bulky waste and we took it out, it was 0.1%. So it
Yeah.
went from like 13.6 down to 13.5.
Yeah, which will affect the percent change difference between our number and the budget committee's number by a similar percentage, but we're still gonna be within 1% of each other.
Yeah. And once I'll send this to you, once we plug it all
Mhm.
in, I'll reprint it and send it right off to you.
Yeah. So my motion is to adopt the budget as amended.
Second.
Do we have any other discussions or comments? All in favor? Any opposition? I wish I had a gavel. Opposition?
For the same reasons I didn't vote for it for the first time,
Okay.
so didn't wanna rehash them.
What I will say is, obviously, there is no sugarcoating that this is the biggest increase we've seen in quite some time. And so no one on this committee is gonna try to sit here and say that it's not an increase. I think that we've provided ample documentation showing where that increase is. We've shown a consistent decrease in municipal portion of the budget over the last 5 years to the tune of down like negative 8%. But we're seeing a consistent increase in the operation on the side of school and county taxes, which we're working on that at the GP cog level. But I do say this is a really stressful time of year for everybody. And I just wanted to tell everyone I'm really appreciative, especially of the board members and the committee members, but also of the staff for putting up with this stress. There's no easy way to ask people to give you money, even if it's break even. And I think that what we've shown here is we're being extremely responsible in the way we spend, and we're going over every I, every T, dotting and crossing them. But unfortunately, the financial constraints that are placed upon us are what they are, largely out of our control. So that's my final soapbox of on the budget until town meeting. So, all right, we're moving into our final item of new business for the night: the review and discuss the town meeting warrant. Jerry, you just kind of alluded to it there. Making a couple of adjustments. And so we will need to vote to approve the town warrant as amended. And Jerry will double check that, Mark will double check that, but we can vote on that tonight. Is there any other questions about the town warrant that people want to address?
Article 18 sort of leaves open the possibility of it's about the appropriation and transfer of the Penguin Snowmobile Club amount not to exceed the total funds received by the town from the state snowmobile registrations. But it leaves open, such trails shall be open to the public during snow season or at all times for outdoor recreational use at no charge. That's something that needs to be decided tonight.
You could amend it if you like, but this was recommended by MMA.
Yeah.
As
I am surprised that it says / at all times.
That's what,
Because
Yeah.
a lot of time snowmobiles get to operate because they're never on the ground of the private property. And a lot of snowmobile trails are seasonal because they go through agricultural fields that have livestock in them during the season. So I would say that we strike at all times and leave during the snow season. I say this as a person who deals with private landowners every single day for my job. That would be a hard no for a lot of people, because that's why a lot of snowmobile trails aren't also four-wheeler trails, because the impact on the landowner is much different.
yeah, I thought it was for walking or biking.
Yeah, but I think this opens up a bit of a can of worms too. Because some people allow snowmobile access across their property, but they're not gonna allow walking and biking across their property.
I feel like it's implying at all times during the snowmobile season.
Well, that's not how I read it.
So, I mean, we can amend this to say at all times during the snow season.
I mean, doesn't.
It does during snow season, so why don't we just,
So I know that this feels pedantic, but I deal with this every day.
so
So
you
a
wanna say
couple-
at all times during snow season, just reverse the,
At all times during the snow season, but here's the other, and again, I'm not trying to be pedantic here, but it also says for outdoor recreational use at no charge. A
right,
lot of snowmobile trails don't open their trails to dog sledders, skijoors, snowshoers. And so there is a precedent here, that being a pretty important distinction. And so I just think that we need to clarify here that provide that such trails are always open to the public for snowmobiling during snow season. At all times during snow season.
So I would have said more, provided open to the public, pursuant to the rules of the club,
That's, yeah.
right? So that,
Yeah, but what if the club changes their rules?
So these trails don't get used by side-by-sides in the summer?
No.
No.
It's
I-
that is a very hot topic.
We don't have
There's
ATV
whole
club here.
committees in Augusta dealing on this. That's very hot topic.
That's
Okay.
ATV.
I thought when they came in this last time, they talked, I can't remember his name, but he talked about when it's open at other times of the year.
He mentioned that they usually allow people to walk, but what the challenge here
Or red.
is the red flag of outdoor recreational use. So then they say, hey, no, you can't bring your four-wheeler across here. And they say, well, then you're not allowed the money from the town because it says open to outdoor recreational use. And in part of these trails aren't even accessible outside of the frozen ground season because they go over wetlands that you couldn't go through.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think the
Thanks for coming, Phil.
snowmobile club is one thing, but I think there's a lot of landowners who are willing to let the snowmobiles run and not other things.
That's the preponderance of land.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want an ATV going through there at 11 o'clock at night, you know, and I think they would do more harm than good by opening to everybody.
So I'm gonna make a motion here that says, to amend Article 18, so the last line says, provided that such trails shall be open to this public to snowmobile at all times during snow season. Do I have a second?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. What if there's no snow on the trails?
And they don't get to use them, because that damages landowner property.
You wanna just end it after trails.
Right.
I
don't
don't
know
think
if
you
that-
can. To Joe's point, I don't know if you can do that.
So my motion is, so it says, provided that such trails shall be open to the public to snowmobiles at all times during the snow season.
I'll second.
Okay.
And you wanna take out for outdoor recreational use?
Yes,
at no
because
charge?
outdoor recreational use
I
has a
got it.
whole different
Yep,
set of uses.
Yep.
And so generally trails determine clubs determine when a trail's open.
Yep.
Driven by frozen ground conditions, but also snow cover.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I just was clarifying.
So that's the motion.
So
And
you want me to-
I mean, I can go into great detail why this language is problematic, or you can all trust me that this is what I deal with professionally daily, and it's. You won't even get ATV clubs and snowmobile trails to agree on the same use language because of this. This is such a hot button topic. Alright, any other questions or discussion on the motion?
I will point out, though, that this does not apply to all of the people in Durham, so there is much like trash day, it's
Yeah.
a select group.
But they are the ones who are paying the snowmobile registration, so they're paying as they go, so.
I'm fine.
Alright. All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes.
So can you just read the motion
Yeah.
real slow so we can get this?
I'm better at talking than reading, but I'll go slow. So, get to the colon at the end.
Yeah.
Provided that such trails shall be open to the public to snowmobile at all times during the snow season at no charge.
Snowmobiles at all times.
Wait, you didn't say at no charge
Oh,
before.
sorry, then I will make sure my.
During,
I would
during
amend my-
snow season?
That, I meant to just say to insert to the snowmobile at all times during the snow season at no charge. That's was my intended motion.
Okay, cause you didn't say
Okay,
at no
then,
charge.
then I'll
before.
amend my motion to say, provided that such trails be open to the public to snowmobile at all times during the snow season at no charge.
Okay.
So
I
that's
just
my
wanna- I just wanna
amended
clar-
motion.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm glad you caught it. So do we have a second on the motion as
Okay.
amended?
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Any
you get that?
opposition? Seeing none.
Kinda. Easier than.
I saw, Jerry, that you have highlighted Article 4.
Yeah, because that's a change, right? So
Mhm.
anything that's got a yellow on it is a change from the previous year. Because we're going from an 18th budget to a 12-month.
So,
budget.
yeah, this was a question that came up from the budget committee. What happens if no budget articles pass? What do you revert to? In the past, the answer was the previous year's budget. Well, the previous budget was 18 months. So this is specifying the 12-month rate of the previous budget. So if everyone voted down those two articles and then we did the 18-month budget, that'd be a substantial increase. So that is a change there. And then,
Thank you for putting in the paving reserve account.
Yep.
yes,
Mhm.
27, to see this, if the town will vote to establish a paving reserve account for the purposes of funding road construction, reconstruction, and maintenance, and to authorize the select board to transfer any unexpended balances remaining in paving related appropriations at the end of 2027 fiscal year, and to said reserve account such funds to be expended for future improvements in subsequent fiscal years, and to authorize the select board to expend funds from said accounts for those purposes. So the intent of this is, if asphalt prices remain ridiculously high, and for what would normally buy us a mile and a half of road, we're only getting a half mile, and we say we want to wait on paving. This allows us to move those dollars into a reserve account to automatically be available for paving next year, in addition to whatever we budget for next year. This does not immediately appropriate funds for that account and switch paving to a reserve account. It just gives us that mechanism should asphalt, be $700 a ton this paving season. Article 28, see if the town will authorize the select board to transfer proceeds from any sale of capital assets into the town's related capital reserve funds. So that would be like when we sell the front end loader, that goes into the municipal reserves. If, when Chief sold the boat last year, that would go into the fire reserve. So it's bringing those dollars back, because those dollars are then important for outfitting the new equipment. And then there's article on establishing school board members to start on the 30th day of June and immediately following the election. And then the final thing that is new is to see if the town of Durham will vote to change its main public employees retirement system, main PERS plan, to adopt regular plan AC for full-time eligible employees and appointed official July 2026 for future service only. So that's what we talked about. That adds the cost of living adjustment to folks' pension. So that cannot be decided by the board. That has to be decided at town vote. So those are the new things. So
I do have a comment.
Yeah.
This is not a comment about Jerry, but I don't think as a practice we should put person's names. It should just say to authorize the town manager. I mean, not that, hopefully Jerry's here to sign it, or the town manager, which is a designated position in person.
So let me just speak to that. So this came right from the main PERS, and it said title and name. So
Then I withdraw my comment.
Wait, someone at main PERS answered the phone when you called them?
No, when the human resources person was working with them on this, main PERS said, this is the language that we want to see.
Very specific.
What's that?
Cool.
Very specific.
Yeah.
Very specific language.
Right, they wanted this. They want to see that. this got voted
There's
on.
probably a lawyer who decided that that's the way it should go.
Right.
So
I'm fine.
we should listen to him. All right. Well, I make a motion to approve the article approve the articles as amended.
Second.
Any other questions or
Sorry, does this include the,
budget?
what do with that for, the, policy changes?
Yes, the
Yeah,
ordinance changes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
we've
in here.
adopted the
Yeah.
ordinance changes. Now we've put them in here.
Just
We've
missed
adjusted the budget. We've adjusted this. They'll rectify it, but we've adopted it as a motion to adopt it as amended. So I made that motion. Josh, you seconded it?
Yes.
Do we have any additional questions or discussions on the motion?
Just a comment that this was thumbs up by the attorney. So it's been all checked.
Awesome. All right, seeing no other questions or discussion, all in favor? And
I
then-
voted in favor, but not agree to the. I agree.
Okay. I'll
Just-
note that important
I don't wanna-
distinction.
Don't want to renegotiate.
You could have voted against it. So all I'm hearing is John voted for the budget. All righty, that brings us to manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have really one thing. We have a new administrative assistant working with us now. Today was day 6 for her. Her name is Melinda Novella. And I would encourage you to stop by the town office and say hello.
Novella.
Novella, yeah. Who I think Josh knows.
I do, a long time.
Yeah. So that's all I got. That's
Her where is she seated?
She's sitting right where the code officer
Oh,
sat,
okay.
so
Yeah.
it's behind the glass and, she really replaced the code officer. Cause we have a code officer, so, well, it's working out good.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
I heard nothing but good things about it.
Are we 100% in truck drivers?
No.
Yes.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we just,
I thought
I could, yeah, so we had a Public Works employee start this week. So we are full right now.
Good.
So
Yeah.
hopefully that works out.
Fingers crossed there.
His name is Brandon Wyman. Lives in Pownell. So he was the second guy that we had to pick because the first guy backed up. And I think it's because he was a school bus driver and their school bus drivers just got a really good deal. Like, I don't know, Chief knows. What did the bus drivers get for the school?
They settled for a COLA, side raise, and 5 additional sick days.
Yeah,
it's a
so
week.
once he found that out, he said, I'm sorry, I'm not coming.
That covers the school year, right? 5 additional.
Yeah.
school days.
Right.
Yeah, pretty
It's like,
close.
right. So then we went to Brandon. So hopefully it works out. I met him. Seems like a nice guy. So
Awesome.
we're fully staffed there right now.
Perfect. All right, board member report. I just want to say once again, this is the most stressful time for all municipalities. There's no way you pass a budget that makes everybody happy. There's no way you talk about a budget that makes everybody happy. So just, everyone should keep your chin up, feel proud of everything we did here. If you get questions, feel free to answer them. If you don't feel comfortable answering them, send them to Jerry or I. But I'm really appreciative of the staff and of the budget committee and the select board and everyone involved who made this budget season possible. And I look forward to comparing year to year from year moving up after this, after we're done with our 18-month budget. And I know he's not here tonight, but as always, Mark is like the Superman of budget, of accounting, and I really appreciative of everything he's done for us. And Jerry. I will say, I think, that was last meeting. I already covered that. Rebecca and I attended a candidates forum as members of GP Cog, and the topics of discussion that the 10 members who participated were pressed on for it was school expenses, county tax, property tax, variety of issues, but that in transportation and housing, those are the 4 pillars of GP Cog's legislative outreach moving forward. And I'm happy that we're participating because we are the more rural town in the who send people to participate, and they do make a disproportionate amount of time and space for us because I'm good at yapping. So, Josh, you have anything to add?
Ditto.
That I'm good at yapping?
Well,
Thanks.
I would say, but the yapping part for me, but yeah, no, I agree with all that you said.
Cool. Deb.
I did attend the Historical Society silent auction.
Oh, how was it?
Kudos to Tia Wilson and her team. I mean, it was really well put together. I didn't stay too long, but the location was great and the auction items that they had. We didn't get any numbers, I don't think, from her. I don't think she posted anything, but it's really good to have people so passionate about the history of our town and willing to take the lead and organize. It's a big effort. It's a big effort, and I'm sure it was very successful. And with that said, too, now that that's over, Tia will have some time to work with me on the bandstand project, so I'll be connecting with her either this week or next week, and we'll get that started, kind of get that moving a little bit. And then just again, to Calvin and his team on the solid waste day. Thank goodness we had good weather, but it was a good day, and it was really enjoyable for me to be there and welcome people as they came in. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Rebecca.
Tomorrow is the RSU 5 school budget vote. I just want to remind people about that. So I will be there just to vote and encourage other people to go and vote. Raise our paddles.
Is that posted on our Durham site and everything about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and their
And
budget packet's been available some time, though I will say there is one slight error in that budget packet in reference to Durham. Is they are saying that their impact on our mill rate is very small, because they use the 18-month budget mill rate. And so it says that they're saying, oh, it's only impacts.
You didn't show that? I didn't even notice that.
No, I just noticed it the other day. So they take each town's mill rate and say, here's what this new value, how it impacts your town's previous mill rate. I said, why is it only going up 1.8%? And then I looked and they had our $33 18-month mill rate in there. So we're not giving them those kudos. But thank you, Rebecca. I'm gonna try to go there as well. I have a conference tomorrow, so. Might not. John?
Nothing. I will make a motion. Oh, we have to do the AP warrant.
Yeah, I mean, do you wanna make a motion? to the
I'll make a
consent
motion. We approve the AP warrant.
agenda? Yeah,
Yes.
our consent agenda is a total, so we get John, Josh, all in favor, or any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposition? Seeing none, passes unanimously. All right, upcoming town meetings. Agriculture Committee, May 13th, Eureka Center at 7, public hearing for land use ordinance changes, May 20th, here at the fire station. Just a reminder, that's the planning board's meeting, so we can be in attendance, but we are not participants. And a friendly reminder I give to people is if you show up and you realize that there's 2 or more other board members, to not sit together, not congregate, so it doesn't appear as a illegal meeting. I'm on vacation, so I won't be there. Memorial Day on the 25th, select board meeting again on the 26th at the fire station. I will be absent, and I think Rebecca, you said
I
you'll
will
be
be
absent.
And I may be.
Okay,
My
so
first grandchild is due somewhere in that,
Congratulations.
We'll wait till he shows up.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna tell him in a
what's
second.
that?
So on the 26th, the warrant needs to be signed at that meeting.
We need, does it need to be signed at a meeting, or can 3 people come in and sign it?
It's always been signed at a meeting. I have to research it, but it's always been signed at a meeting.
Right, you have to go to Ohio to
Indiana. I may.
Okay.
And as much as I love all of you,
No.
you are a
No,
distant
absolutely
second.
not. 26 is a hard sign.
Well, it's the meeting date, right? So it's just kind of like it's a select board meeting. We're gonna, you
I mean,
could
I may
sign
very
it
well be
differently
here.
Well,
It
yeah.
has to be posted.
7 days prior, so
So
you
maybe-
could come in. We was just trying to make it as part of a select board meeting
Right.
like that.
Um,
You guys
but-
can do what you gotta
Well, if
do.
it's approved, can't we come,
So what I'm getting at, real quick, and I know we're moving into this, but if 2 of us are gone and potentially a third on the 26th, do we just want to cancel that meeting and we could do a June 2nd instead?
depends on one of those, well, I guess the others.
Yeah,
I'd post it on the 3rd.
he's posted on the 3rd, and that gives you 9 days.
And then we would
That-
have,
that's real
another meeting
close.
on the 9th. So there would be a meeting on the 2nd and on the 9th.
We could go without the meeting on the 9th because I will be gone that day as well.
That's also the election.
If we've already approved it, couldn't we just sign it, come in the office?
We
and sign?
You
We
probably,
could, but we have always had a practice of doing it at the meeting, because we don't want anyone to be like, oh, you signed the warrant in private,
I mean, I just don't know.
So,
I may
I
be here
guess
on the
we'll-
26th, or it may not be here on the 2nd.
So not that I don't want you to be included, but I know that we will have 3 on the 2nd. And it sounds like
I'm fine
maybe,
with it.
and so we can cancel the 26th and cancel June 9th and just have a meeting June 2nd.
If it's a short meeting, I can make it, but. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be-
I won't put much on it besides this. Cause everything else that anyone is asked to do, the audit presentation, there's only one that came in within scope and budget. Or maybe a few. But the ag can wait until after the town meeting. Anything Deb you connect with on bandstand can wait till after the town meeting, so we really won't have anything to do besides just sign documents that day.
so if you do it on the 2nd, because I had the auditors, or if they wanna come while you talk about the proposals, that was gonna be on the 26th. So if you do it on the 2nd, that's fine. I can just let.
So we could either not do the auditors and just do the vote, or do the auditors. I think that the audit presentation will be very quick.
Yeah, it can take long.
So are people okay with us canceling the 22nd?
Yep.
And canceling the 9th and just meeting June 2nd?
Yeah.
Alright, same time, same place?
Yep.
Cause the 9th is election day anyways.
Yeah.
Which we can't really do that because the staff are taxed, not taxed, wrong word, busy
Won't be
that
busy.
day. Josh, does that not work well? Alright, well, I'll make a motion that we cancel our meeting on the 26th and May 26th and June 9th, and we meet on June 2nd for our final meeting before town meeting. At the fire station at 6:30. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussions or questions?
You sent a text message out, so I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Changes.
Any opposition?
Changes.
Hey, that should be fine.
I'll send you a
Yeah.
calendar alert.
Before I make a motion to adjourn, that gentleman has sat patiently through all of this.
Oh,
Are you happy just sitting there?
oh, yeah.
Thanks, Kelvin. All right, focus group meeting hosted by GP Cogs, May 28th, Eureka Center at the 5th. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposition? All right, seeing none, we're over.
Well, thanks.
No executive.
No executive, no. And